Oh, hello.
Oh!
Jesus.
A couple of like
That was
old
fucking
retards
weird.
over
Yeah,
here.
I know.
Can't figure out how to
Can't
operate
get the
this.
fucking ad to work.
That's basically what happened.
Yeah,
And then you're
pretty
like,
much.
is this thing taking a picture or a
Yeah.
video?
Yeah.
No, that's a video.
Yeah, you know. And
We're 65 years old.
yeah, speaking of old people.
Yeah? Do you hate them?
No, I don't hate old people.
No.
Actually, I like old people because. Yeah, I
like old people.
I mean,
Most of the time.
yeah, there are some old fucking bastards. So like, there's some old people that
That's right.
are just. I mean, it's. I think there's a split, right, of people that I like old people. They're cool. Like, you know, like you can learn things from them. Like they see the positive side. And then there's people that are just like, old people are fucking useless.
Yeah.
And they're condescending, and think that they know a lot better. And just because we're young,
Isn't that like with every human being though? Honestly.
Yeah. Either you split like one way or the other. Yeah.
Although I think the older you get, the more I don't know, like you've experienced more shit in life, so you start to get.
You just get wiser.
Yeah, you get wiser, but I also feel like you have less patience for shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because you want to like make the most of your time. What was that? What the fuck was that?
Nah, flick some shit on you.
Yeah. Oh,
some
thanks.
Dirt.
That's
It's
cool.
on you now.
All right. Perfect.
I don't need it.
Yeah. But
well, I don't know if it's like if you have less time or you've experienced enough in life. You're just like, yeah, I don't care. I've seen that before.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of my face.
Yeah. Nothing where you get jaded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably what it is.
It does. I'm sure it gets harder to hang on to that as you get older but it's important to not get like that, because then if you're just like,
That's
well,
true.
I know fucking everything.
Right.
So.
Right.
What
You've
else is
stopped
there?
growing and learning and.
Yeah, but but there's older people, like I guess just different generations have different ways of talking to one another.
Yeah, you were saying something about like the way you were saying something like
my dad. Yeah, the way that that's a whole other separate thing, because like even like my dad is he's not exceptionally older than me. Like he's 50. He's born in 62.
Kind of younger, right?
Yeah, so I mean, he's on the younger side.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like he was like 60. He's like 60 or 70, where he grew up way back when, where people just called each other all kinds of names. But that's what he would do though. Like we would be like 12, 13 years old, and you'd be like, "Hey, cocksucker, go get that fucking shit over there." Yeah, like he would.
I don't think my dad ever did that.
No. My
dad actually is in his 60s. Well, he does. He actually talks more like that now, out of like just joking around. But back then, no, definitely not.
No?
No.
So when you were
he was like a hippie.
When you were like a young whippersnapper.
Yeah. So long ago.
Yeah. So you would never talk shit to you?
Not really. No. My parents were both hippies. Like honestly, they no spanking, no like. I don't know if they almost even yelled at me.
No?
I mean, I'm sure they yelled at me, but
like Jesus
we
Christ,
had, like,
Dylan,
time
what
out.
the fuck?
No swearing though, really. I don't think.
What?
I don't think. I can't remember it.
Jesus.
Time out. You ever had time out before?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I would take the ass whooping more.
Yeah.
Instead of,
They give you an option.
Sometimes.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, but like as I got older, the ass whippings were less and less frequent. Like it was, once you're like in your teenage years, it's not.
So you think like the way your dad talked to you, obviously was more like, I don't know what the right word is to use, not aggressive, but like
abrasive.
Abrasive. You wouldn't do that to you haven't done that to your kids, or you do?
No, I have 2 daughters, and I think it's different, and I'm not gonna.
It'd be pretty weird if you're like, listen, cocksucker, go pick that up.
Yeah, or like you call us asshole, jackass, dickhead, what like. Just in.
That would be pretty weird if you called your daughter a dickhead or something.
Yeah, just joking around. Like I would never do that.
Go brush your teeth.
But if I had boys, 100%. Yeah. Because I think.
Well, then is it generational? Is it just because you have daughters and not? So really, you were saying that maybe that your dad spoke differently to you, but maybe you would actually do the same thing.
I don't know. Like I know that if I had boys, I would be a lot harder on them, and I would expect a certain level of, just how you act, and like you're a man.
Yeah.
You know, this grow up. Just it's
Exactly.
It's just how
Suck it
it's
up.
how it's how men talk to each other. You know, and there's it's kind of more of an old school way of looking at it, but
Yeah.
it did help prepare you for things like
That's
you
true.
know it's not you
I
become
think so for sure. I think we've talked about it a little bit before. Like now it seems like kids are a lot softer and like
oh yeah
just very sensitive about everything.
yeah and it's like well when I got to basic training it was like I've been called every name
Yeah.
under the sun and yelled
really
at a
like
lot.
yeah, that's the other thing. Like name calling to me never bothered me. I never cared about it. Like
These are words.
yeah, it just didn't.
It's just
I'm just like that doesn't. You're not physically harming me, so I don't really care.
yeah and well see that's and
But
that,
nowadays, I don't think that's true. I think words. I mean, words matter. Like when you
Yeah.
say you're gonna do something, but like calling someone or swear word, I just don't care.
right it to me there's no immediate harm
Right.
if you don't let it harm
Yeah,
you.
it's only psychological.
Right. And there's it also goes along the same line. This is something I never understood is when people get bothered when someone doesn't respect them.
Yeah, that's weird too. Like,
It's like,
why
oh,
do you
he's
think
this
you deserve respect, and what is it? What is respect? Even?
right, right. It's like what, or it's like, well, so and so is not showing me respect. That's a problem.
Yeah, what is that?
Why
even?
the fuck is it a problem?
Right.
Why do you give a
Why
shit?
do you deserve anything?
Right. Yes. One, why do you deserve it?
Right.
Two, why do you give a fuck
Why do
if
you
Joe
need it?
Schmo
I know that is
respects you or not?
weird. That is pretty strange. Actually, I never really thought about it, but it is weird to think that like someone could be so upset about like an abstract. Really, at the end of the day, it's like, what is it even?
Right, because if somebody disagrees with you or doesn't like you for something that you do,
Right.
no matter what whether you whoop their ass,
Right.
whether you somehow coerce them into saying that they do respect
Like,
you,
okay.
internally they're not gonna fucking. As soon as you turn your back, be like that motherfucker is a piece of shit.
And
like, you
it's
know?
like, what is respect? It's different for everyone. Everyone's
Right.
gonna have their own definition of what they actually think it even is. So it's like, yeah, I've never understood that either. Like, yeah, it's just weird. I feel like, again, that's something that's gonna happen more often now, with like kids or millennials or whatever. Like,
Oh,
I don't know,
you're
everyone just
doing
seems
it.
so sensitive.
You're doing the old man thing.
You
These
fucking kids.
These
and
fucking
your goddamn
millennials.
emotions.
Yeah, there's, but I mean, there. You know what's funny is like there's, I feel like that will forever be.
That's true.
A
We
thing.
talked about that, didn't we? Where we're like, the generation before always thinks Did we talk about this? We're like.
At some point we did. I feel like
Yeah,
that
like the
it's
generation behind you is always like the lazy,
problem.
weak ass.
Yeah, yeah,
Right?
yeah, and it's just because it's like, well, that generation is probably way smarter, and
Yeah.
has other attributes about it that they may or may not excel. But that's, to me, that's all part of the problem, though, is
Yeah.
that you're focusing on people's group identity. It's like just
Right.
because you're
Right.
born within a certain time frame doesn't necessarily mean that.
No, exactly.
You know,
We're all
and-
different.
Right.
Who cares when you were born? It really doesn't have any bearing on what kind of person you're going to become.
Yeah, and it's like where there's, I generally enjoy calling people out when they do that, and I'll call myself out for doing it too. Like if I'm like
categorizing people?
yeah, oh yeah, if I'm like, oh well, this person's from the South, so they
Yeah.
must like fucking country fried chicken and must be
Yeah, well,
fucking stupid.
that
It's
might
like,
be
you know,
true,
and, but like if the trick to avoid that
I know, I'm
is
kidding.
yeah, but you know, I mean, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, who doesn't like a good country fried?
Who doesn't like
chicken?
fried chicken? If you don't, something's wrong with you.
I mean, I did say I don't like KFC.
That's
so
not fried chicken.
That's
I like that that's fried chicken fried in water, if that's even possible.
Or-
I guess that'd be boiled chicken. Wouldn't
Yeah, that would be fried.
Oops,
yeah.
yeah,
Oh
it's a
yeah.
word
It's
for
this is our secret recipe. Our fried chicken
Fried
boiled in
water.
water. Oh shit.
Okay.
But there's yeah, I think it's there's.
Well, sorry, I just completely cut you off.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
Do you want to finish there? Or do you want to...
No, you go. Go ahead, good sir.
Sorry.
Go ahead, good sir. We'll roll out the red carpet for you. You and your fucking red pants.
Yeah, if you could just stop talking, I want to talk now. My red pants.
Yeah, red pants.
pants.
Red pants. I don't know what the fuck that's all about.
Hey, don't worry about red pants. Were you talking about like generational stuff and like how like you were beat might be the wrong word as a kid.
Huh?
That sounds bad.
I was okay.
Spanked?
I was not. No, I yes, I did receive spankings. Yes.
Okay, so
yes.
beatings sound a lot
Yeah,
worse.
I was not like physically abused.
Well,
in
and
any
so
sense,
here's
like,
what's weird. It's like I was not at all, but I'm not like overly emotional. We have the same sort of disposition, even though you were raised differently than I was.
Yeah.
Right. So where does that come from?
I think that what it comes from is, I was just talking to my mom about this yesterday. It's like, the trick is to not let something that happened in the past completely define you.
Yeah.
And sure, there might be some emotional, there's something about the past that you
Right.
have not articulated into words the actual truth of the matter. You know, and I think that's why like therapy is good for a lot of people in those cases, where because they sit with somebody that's completely unbiased,
Right. They get to hash it all out
and explain,
talk it all out.
like you get to say the words,
Right.
and it's like once you say it, you're kind of like, well, fuck,
Yeah.
that's actually what happened. Jesus,
Right. Yeah.
all this time,
Yeah.
and then you're kind of like, well, okay, if that happened, and you just start to, then this happened, and this is why, and,
Right.
and you speak the truth, and you kind of are able to formulate what all happened and kind of put it behind you in a sense. And it's may not be that immediate for a lot of
Right.
people, depending on how traumatic things are, but to me, that's why I think that people, they hang on to that type of stuff, and then they let, it's like, you become like
Right.
a victim to whatever happened to you in the past.
Yeah, that could be true. I guess unless you make a conscious effort to do something about it, and therapy I think is definitely a way to do that. Like if that's what it takes, that's what it takes. As long as you decide to be like, you know what, I'm gonna make a change, I'm gonna try to solve this problem. However
Right.
I have to solve it. But how you're talking about like how your dad spoke to you, it is weird though to think that like two people could be the same and be raised differently. Like I don't know where that shit comes from then.
I think that there's like
there's so many different
there's
variables.
right.
So
There's an infinite number of
Yeah.
things that happen, and it's almost like your, maybe this is a poor analogy, but it's kind of like a pinball machine, right? So like if you have two balls within the pinball machine, right? And they're both like thrown out at the top, and they're going downhill towards little fucking flappies,
Blip, blip, blip,
you know,
blop.
and they're all going in the same direction,
Just
but based on
getting
what,
there in different ways.
right? Yeah, and it's like you're hitting things, so you can eventually end up at the same spot after going through all kinds of crazy ass shit, or you get thrown into a fucking rabbit hole, whatever the fuck those things are, and like, you know,
suck.
it's like there's like, so it is very likely, I mean, well, I say very likely, but it is possible for people to start off in two separate paths, but fundamentally end up being very similar, although experiencing different things based on your biological disposition and then the choices that you make.
But I also feel like somewhere along the line you could make a conscious effort to be like, nope, I'm gonna be this type of person, which obviously you can.
Yeah, fuck
say
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I feel like some people think that you can't say it. Like you can't.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? Today I'm gonna react differently to things. I'm gonna change the way I am. I think people think they can.
It's hard as fuck.
Yeah, it's hard to do for sure.
And I think that's like, you guys, you hear people like motivational speakers or whatever talk about all the time, where it's like what you have to do is easy. It's easy.
Yeah, it's true. true.
It's not easy. It's simple, but not easy.
Yeah.
And that's where like discipline comes
Right.
into effect, where it's like, okay, you got to work hard at it, but some people just don't. They're not hardwired or disciplined enough, and they need something else to kind of
It is
spark
weird to
that.
think though, how does that come up then? Like, that is a weird, like, I can't even find the words to describe.
It's not even tangible. It's like there's no.
Does something have to trigger? Because I can't remember anything in my life. It's just a strange thing to think that you could be like, I don't know, do you have to be fed up with something to be like, fucking, I'm pissed off enough to be like, nope, not anymore.
Yep. I'm not putting forth any effort whatsoever. You know what? And I'm.
Or putting forth the effort to be a different person. I mean, like,
yeah.
Getting so fed up with, like, who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe the way you're reacting to things that you decide you've gotten so tired of being that way.
Yeah.
But I don't remember that happening, so I don't know. I don't know where it comes from.
Well, there's. When I told you about that personality assessment thing that I took.
Still haven't taken it.
It's and that's okay. That's okay. You just haven't made the conscious effort to do it, Dylan. Like,
I'm not angry enough yet.
But
I'll get there.
But within that personality test, it said that because I scored high in orderliness, that people that are high in orderliness tend to be prone to disgust, meaning that like where people that are not hardworking, not clean, as we've talked about the bathroom all the time, that bothers me more than somebody else.
Because where does that even come from?
Fucking, I don't know. It's weird how I don't like, but that's the thing. Like when you do go to therapy, and you have like a medical professional, like psychiatrist or a clinical psychologist, analyzing you, literally all they have to go off of is what you tell them.
Right, and if you're not honest,
they can't help you.
Yeah.
And there's but do you ever think about the fucking stigma there is to therapy?
Oh, there's so much.
Like if you if you were to just tell if you told the wrong person.
Oh yeah. Well, anything, which is so fucking weird, anything related to the brain or the mind or whatever you want to call it, is like has some sort of stigma to it. Well, how is that?
I don't know, but in the army it was like, oh, you need counseling, you need therapy, fucking queer, like it's like you fucking like I'm not even joking. Like it was, where
does that come from?
And I think it has to do with people that maybe are super high in orderliness, and they're like, well, I don't need that. Like,
but I feel like I am, but I wouldn't shit on that. I wouldn't.
Right, but maybe you're more open, like your openness, is that trait would be higher, but like, there's just a.
But even all of that, it's like, it's so weird to think that that we can try to categorize things into like different.
Right. And it's like
it's even that doesn't seem really possible at the end of the day. Like,
right, it's like you have to. It is pretty weird to think about, because at some point.
But I guess it is, because you could take it and be like, "Yep, that's who I am. That's how I am."
But you have to do it. You have to establish order on some level just to function.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And because otherwise, if everyth's like an open slate and just completely you're like walk out the door, you're like, what the fuck?
This building wouldn't exist.
Right. And this piece of shit here.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. It's really cool actually. But there's the yin yang symbol. You know what that's supposed to represent?
Yin yang twins.
Yes, the yin yang twins. They often talk about.
Sorry, you're still on yin yang.
It's okay. They often talk about very sexually explicit things in their lyrics.
They do. That's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, to be honest, that's probably a little bit more interesting than the Taoist symbol. But but no, like what that's supposed to represent is like order and chaos, or good and
right,
evil.
wrong, and
Yeah.
whatever. Right.
It's the dichotomy of existence, right?
Right.
And what's crazy about it is that idea is like it's true on every level.
Yeah.
That's universally
Right.
true, and that the proper way to exist is to find a balance between order and chaos.
Yeah, that's true, because you don't want to go all in one direction or all in the other direction, because then
right.
that would be equally as, you know, it'd not be good for your life either.
Right, because there's problems with either way. So it's like there's a little bit like in that symbol, in the yin yang symbol, there's a little bit of there's a black dot in the white, and then a white dot in the black. Exactly, and there's this is just like my interpretation of this symbol, and then just what I've heard about it,
or what you feel about when you look at it.
Yeah, it's like there's because if you apply too much order, it's essentially like tyrannical. It's tyranny, right?
Yeah.
And there's too much order, and eventually chaos will emerge to balance out the order.
Right.
It'll manifest itself out of that.
Right.
Same with if there's too much chaos. Eventually, you're going to have to establish order just so you can make fucking sense of everything. And
yeah, that's true.
And the proper way is to walk that curved line.
Right.
And because to navigate between order and chaos is not straightforward. It's definitely not a
True.
fucking straight line.
That's true.
So you have to
true.
constantly be aware,
That's
adjust, and
right.
Adjust to navigate that properly. And it's crazy that like you can apply that principle on, again, like every situation. It's like whether, like when you're at work, right? Some people like to have the cowboy approach, where it's just like, oh, like you might have a process or procedure to do something. It's just fucking do it. Just get it. But if you go too far with that, you can fuck something up, and it could cause some problems. But then if you have too much order, you never get anything done. That's just like one example, and it's like with working out.
Right. Yeah.
Same deal.
Right.
Which you probably need a little bit more recovery time there, sir.
Do I?
Yeah, I think so.
Why?
Cause. Yeah, cause dude, you're
I'm worried.
Yeah, you looking a little tired there.
Oh, I am tired.
Yeah.
Do I look tired?
Yeah, you look kind of tired. You need some Z's.
Well, I got back from Florida, and I woke up. Well, it is Tuesday, so this excuse doesn't work that well, but I still feel it. But I got up at 3:30 a.m. Sunday, and
Jesus, why?
Had to go to the airport. I don't feel like I've recovered yet from that.
That's an early fucking flight.
Had to drop the rental car off at 5 a.m.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
God
so
damn.
I feel it. Well, and I don't get very good sleep generally anyway. So, but I look tired, huh? You can tell that.
Yeah. There's I don't know. I feel like there's some people that universally just look tired always. I wouldn't say that you always look tired.
No.
I don't think so.
Because I pretty much always get shitty sleep. So
really?
That's good news to hear.
Well, you also like do insane workouts.
Yeah, but what's funny about that is like they don't help me sleep, which is weird, don't you think?
No, that is kind of weird. And
I've had days where I've been just completely like, where I'm in the gym and in the moment I'm like, I literally feel like I'm gonna die, which obviously, well, not obviously, you could die.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then still not be able to sleep. So.
What the fuck?
I meditate. I've tried that. I've done everything.
You taking some ZQL?
I've not tried heroin yet.
No. Okay. Oh, all right. Well, I mean, the
I've
option.
tried everything.
Yeah. Well, there's.
But actually, when I was in Florida, so tell me if this is weird. I took my pants off. No.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, depending on where you're going with that, like
I was at
maybe
Disney
weird.
World. No, I didn't take my pants off.
Okay.
But I was at Disney World, and I thought this was weird, but maybe it's not. I saw multiple occurrences of people that had like infants, not kids, like babies.
Yeah.
At Disney World, and it's like 94 degrees outside. Is that
Damn.
weird? That's weird, right?
I mean, I guess if you're used to it, if you're used to that
It's a baby, though.
Florida Everglades,
The goddamn babies aren't, though.
riding in the fucking swamp buggy. If they're a swamp buggy baby, they know all about
No,
that
they don't.
shit. No.
Well, here's the way I look at it. There's two problems that I think. One obvious problem: the baby has no idea where it's at. It's not gonna remember any of this. This isn't like. This isn't fun for the baby. It doesn't know what the fuck's going on.
Right.
And two, can a baby be out in the heat like that all day? Like what?
I mean, there's certain precautions you have to take, but it's like.
But that's not.
I mean.
Bad. Because to me, I was like, that is an infant.
Well, like how old are we? I mean, we're talking like tiny baby.
I saw one that was tiny baby.
Were they okay? Were they with
less than a year?
Jesus. Okay. Were they with like a large group of people, or was it like
parents.
man, woman, little baby?
Yep.
Not really sure why you'd waste all that money on that.
And is it? I mean, is that bad for a baby to be out in that kind of weather?
I mean, as long as
am I wrong about that?
I mean, personally, I would probably keep it inside, just because, you know.
I saw it multiple times. The first time I saw it, I was like, what? That makes no sense on multiple levels. But
I mean, there have been times where like we've gone outside with one of our kids when they were young, and it was. I mean, it was hot
outside,
out, but
that's fine.
But
go to Disney World.
Yeah, not like an all day like thing where you're probably gonna spend a lot of money.
Drive your car there, park, walk forever, get on buses.
I mean, that would be like taking a 2-year-old to. Well, I guess a 2-year-old at Cedar Point.
I mean, at a certain point, the age makes sense. Like the kids can have fun and they're gonna remember, they're gonna create memories and.
Yeah.
But when I saw babies, I was like, who are you doing this for?
I think maybe they're doing it for themselves. Yeah, or they're jumping the gun. Like they're jumping the gun.
Just thought they should bring their baby.
Yeah, that is like personally I wouldn't do it.
Can we talk about like also like people that bring babies to movie theaters?
Yeah, I don't know why you do that. I mean, like
that's another part where they want to go see the movie.
Yeah, and they couldn't find a babysitter, so they just bring the baby. That's. You know, because it's probably gonna scare the fuck out of them. Like,
yeah, well, they always cry.
Shit. Yeah, like loud as shit, and just like
you can hear them.
Yeah, it's like there was one time where, speaking of weird shit in the movies, guy like lit up a joint.
Yeah,
in the middle of the movie. Yeah, yep.
Damn, was he by you, close to you?
He was like, he's a few rows away. Yeah, like I couldn't believe it. I was like. The balls on this guy.
The balls on this guy.
Doesn't give a fuck. And like, I mean, no, like the movie wasn't really crowded. It's like nobody. I was surprised nobody went up and complained.
Yeah,
but
no one said anything, huh?
No one said anything.
Finished it
and I mean.
How was that?
I think that most people nowadays probably don't give a shit if someone's smoking weed.
No, I mean it would be weird to smoke it in the movie theater just because. Well, it's kind of agreed upon that you don't smoke inside the movie theater.
Yeah.
Whether it's weed or cigarettes or whatever the hell it is.
Right. Like, the thing is, like, back in the day, they actually fucking did that shit.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
you could smoke on airplanes.
That is fucking
How is that even possible?
I don't know. Like, I guess it was, what's funny about it is just.
That's nuts.
Like, you watch, what the fuck, what movie was it?
Dude, I've been in planes that still have ashtrays.
Really?
A long time ago, I went to California, and I was like, the fucking ashtray
was it
right
welded
here.
shut?
No.
It was still open, really? Jeez, you probably fucking went through the whole flight, weren't you?
And I was actually scared because I'm like, how am I on a plane right now that has an ashtray, which means it's old as hell?
And the whole time you thought you were going to die?
Partly, yeah.
You know, so...
I don't like flying, really.
No?
Not really.
So, okay, so if you're on the plane...
Yeah.
And the motherfucker's like shaking and like... What's
my pants.
Really?
No.
Like what's your reaction? You just kind of
like turbulence?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna scream or anything. Jesus.
But what if it gets to the point where you're like going down?
Like nose diving to the ground?
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm gonna do. What would you do?
Me?
Yeah, you gonna scream?
Fuck no. All right, the first person that starts screaming around me is getting fucking decked in the face, dude. Like that is just boom, just like that would like because it's like you're doing no good to anyone.
Well, I think but I think that's another like uncontrollable reaction for some people.
it just irritates the fuck out of
Have
me.
you heard people screaming on an airplane?
No, I've never been
I
in
hope
a no, I've never been in a situation quite like that. But it's just when people in general, and that was like that ever since I was a fucking kid.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, I've never. Well, we both know we don't emotionally overreact to really anything. It seems like.
Yeah, that's true. And but like when I was a kid, I would watch movies.
Oh yeah, that always happens.
And people fucking screaming. I'm like, and
I've seen footage of actual inside planes where people scream.
Really?
You've had to have seen
well, yeah.
Planes doing weird shit and
people freaking out. Yeah, but I immediately
piss me off.
I would immediately get mad.
I would be pissed too because I'm like, shut the fuck up! I'm trying to deal with this too. I don't need
right.
that.
Yeah, and it's like just sit there and just accept it.
Yeah,
you're gonna die, and it's like okay.
Well, you might not die.
Right, and like
now you look like an idiot.
Right, and then it's like you're nose diving, and then it's like, and then you level out, and everything's okay, and it's like now
what?
Now if you're a guy. Any chance that you had with any woman on the plane is that if you're screaming
just
like a bitch, the chances of you hooking up with any female on that plane out the window.
Yeah.
Like, not.
I don't like flying though. I don't like the takeoff part.
Is it? So it's not the people that bother you about the planes.
Oh, people bother me everywhere I go, but
yeah, just in general.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know. Well, I mean, obviously flying is safer than driving a car. They tell you that anyway. Well, statistics tell you that too.
Right. Yeah.
But it's still.
You get pissed driving.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that you'd only just get probably not as mad.
I don't get mad. Well, when we're taking off in a plane, I don't really get mad. I'm just like, yeah, I don't like this.
It's one. All right, another plane thing that irritates the fuck out of me is when people take their shoes off.
I haven't seen that yet, honestly, but
No?
I've seen it on the internet, and that would really bother me. Well, I mean, we've talked about it before. People are just so strange when it comes to like
cleanliness.
Well, they're just. I hate to keep saying this.
Yeah,
they only care about themselves.
Yeah. Well, a lot of times,
that's what I mean.
yeah.
Like, you take your shoe off because you wanted your shoe off. You didn't think like, do you think the person next to you wants your shoe to be off? Probably not, but you want it off, so you just took it off.
Yeah, and it's like I mean, you might say, well, my feet don't stink, whatever.
Yeah, they probably do.
But chances are, if you have to get close enough to them, they probably fucking smell bad.
And sorry, I've really been cutting you off a lot.
Oh, it's all good.
Go
man.
ahead.
And it's just like your shoe is just taking up space.
Yeah.
It's like if
too.
there's tiny fucking space.
Oh yeah, Spirit.
Right. So yeah.
I've been taking that a lot.
It's cheap, but like, dude,
but no room.
you are fucking
no room. My knees are like.
Yeah.
Touching.
And when you stand up, are you like?
Oh yeah, I can't stand.
Rickety as.
Yeah.
Put some WD-40.
Well, there's two things that I noticed that pissed me off. One, this girl behind me, like right here, was playing her music through her phone, not through
headphones.
No,
just out loud. What kind of music was it?
It was like Drake or something.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I don't even care what kind of music it is.
But it's just not considerate.
Rude.
It's
and when they land, everyone just stands up at the same time.
Oh, dude,
that's like 20 minutes, and then they're just like.
Yeah, and they're just
I'm like, now your fucking ass is right in my face.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
Because I'm not standing up.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to.
You're right.
And it's pointless.
Right. If you're just standing up, and then the whole ass right in your fucking face. Yeah.
Why are you standing up?
Right.
You can't get off the plane.
Right. And if it was hot,
and you go in order from the front to the back.
Yes, like it's the.
Oh, that fucking pisses me off.
People act like it's not their first fucking time. They act like it's their first fucking time flying.
Right. But again, when they did that, they only thought of themselves because they wanted to stand up. Yeah,
and it's blatant inconsideration.
Yeah,
and I don't know how you get people to do that.
I don't either. And how do you? I don't know.
I mean, like short of like.
How do you teach your kids that? Do you or?
I think the only way
I mean, I'm sure my parents taught me that. I don't have memories of them being like.
this is the acceptable way
that
to act.
specific, like
It's I think what it is you're going to emulate them.
that could be it. Maybe you're exactly.
It's unconscious. It's like because I'm noticing that
makes sense.
with my kids.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we would tell Evelyn to say like please, thank you, and like be polite.
Yeah.
But
that makes sense.
But Steph and I we talk to people like that and are generally polite.
I didn't even think about that.
And I think that people just kind of it's kind of like leading by example.
Right.
And I think that that's more prevalent than what people probably consider.
No, you're right. That's exactly what it is. Because if you look at like, I mean, you can see it. Like if there's a family, there's like a dad and a mom and a kid or two kids or whatever. They all act the same.
Yeah. When they're in front of people, it's like generally they all have kind of the same, like, okay, this is how you interact with somebody that you're just now meeting. And this is how you introduce yourself. And, you know, so, and I think that what happens a lot is when you become a parent, people don't think about that. They're just like, oh, well, I'll just tell my kid how to do everything, but I'm not going to do that. Or
yeah, that would be weird. Right.
And it's, you know, I mean, and that...
Like, make sure you do that, even though I didn't. I want to make sure you do it. But it's like, well, you're not doing it, so I don't absorb any of it.
Right, and there's the small chance that they may make that conscious effort to change that, but the likelihood that they're going to be successful is pretty slim. And it's like, I think that it even goes, at some point you kind of become your own person, and you kind of move away from that. But
eventually, right? Yeah.
But that's why it's so critical in those early development stages to be on your best behavior, conduct yourself as righteous as possible.
Yeah, where you're like, you have an audience, someone's watching you all the time, whether you think it or not.
And it's not only is it just an audience who's just gonna like say this is just a fucking movie, and I'm not like it's not real life. It's an audience that is literally watching and is going to go do the things that they see you doing. So that's crazy. Yeah, it's pretty insane to think about. But you thirsty there?
Am I allowed to drink on air?
Yeah.
I just fucking did.
Yeah.
You want some?
Oh no, thanks, bro.
Buddy.
Yeah. I feel like if it is like I just feel.
Hey, sometimes you gotta drink water.
I feel dirty though. Like that position is just it's dirty. Like
I'm not actually gonna pour water in your mouth.
To look up in the air and open your mouth wide, like that is that is a dirty position.
You're a fucking pervert.
Yeah, you're an animal.
You're a goddamn prevert.
Yeah.
Off topic but random. What do you think about like grocery self checkout aisles? Do you like them?
I love them.
Do you like
do them all the time?
That are in them?
So I think about this too, like where I'm just like sitting there in line and I'm like, how many times have you been in the store? Like, I'm just thinking about this. I'm like, how many fucking times have you done this? You've probably done this so many. Like I can literally check my shit out lightning fucking fast. Like, but I just sit there watching. I'm like, you're literally acting like this is the first fucking. You're like, oh, what's this fucking button do?
Where do I boop?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's like. It's literally the same shit. It didn't change.
No.
It's not in Spanish now.
I guarantee you that was not the very first time you walked up to that thing.
Right. And it's like
you're acting like it, but it'd be weird if it was the very first time.
Right. Yeah. It's like that shit has been there
for a long ass time now.
It's been a thing for a long time. And if you are not familiar with that, I can't help you. Yeah. It's where I often find myself like, because then there's times where, like, if that line is too long, I'll just go to the express line. If there's no way, I'll just say fuck it and just, you know, because...
Especially, like, you get behind someone that has, like, a bunch of fruits and vegetables, too.
Oh.
They might as well pick another line.
And they gotta code this shit, and they're like...
Trying to look it up.
What's the...
It's a fucking leek, celery stalk. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, and then, exactly. Like a leek. What the fuck is that? A green onion?
No, it's like a root vegetable. It kind of, I mean, it's like, so it's got stalks that come out in like a bulbous sack on the end of it.
I see. What you just described was, it didn't kind of sound like a vegetable. Like, you were just like a thing in a sack. We need this in a sack. That's you
yes.
know. Well,
Let me show you.
you can show me a leak.
Go ahead and yeah, no, it's not a penis.
I would say be careful because like, if you type in shaft and sack and bulbous sack, you know that's you're asking for inappropriate things.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know, like a leek. Like I've never I don't think I've ever seen that before. It's like all those fucking weird vegetables, like the what is that like?
It's kind of like.
It's like a green onion, right?
I guess it kind of looks like a giant green onion. You're right.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But it's not a green onion.
No?
No, not at all.
It doesn't taste like a green onion? What does it taste like?
I think it's like a root
What does a bulbous sack taste like?
Salty.
Of course, yeah. Well, on that note, we should probably...
Well, after that fucking stupid conversation about bulbous sacks.
Yeah, we'll fucking wrap this shit up.
All right.